Welcome back to the Potentialists. It's now or never. My name is Bert Oliva. And what I wanted to do with this podcast today is break it down a little bit. What is the Potentialist? I truly believe that everyone has greatness inside of them, but most people never tap into it. So I've decided to create a podcast where I reach out to people that I know all over the world, people that I've worked with, people that I may not even know, because I'll tell you why in a little bit. These are high achievers. These are people playing full out. And what I wanted to do is bring them onto the show and find out a little bit more about what is it that they did, how they doing it, why are they tapping into their potential, and how they're actually tapping into their potential. So I decided that when I was going to do this podcast, I wanted to team up with someone. And I decided to team up with a person that I've seen him grow for the over 20 years, building up his following, working with high achievers all over the world. He's known as the Alpha Connector. His name is Mike Owen.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure, connecting with you. And we've been friends for 20 years, yourself and your wife and team. And Alpha Connector started off really just as an idea, helping people, connecting people. And it's evolved into really a business matchmaking service. So I tell people, if you think of like Patty from Millionaire Matchmaker, she does that for personal relationships. I'm a matchmaker for business, small businesses, and high-level connections. So, I mean, you can use the word consultant, marketing, agent, what have you. But
So it's more than just networking events.
networking is just a means to the end. But the true vision of Alpha Connector is to matchmake as many businesses and people as possible and create the most revenue.
I mean, one
while
of the
building.
reasons I wanted to team up with you is because your database is golden. So we want to go ahead and bring some of these high achievers to the show. But I want to talk a little bit more about the Alpha Connector. There's a few things that you have planned that we're going to be doing. One, I believe, is the mastermind group.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
The Alpha Connector Mastermind really is a place where we have segmented industries from real estate to tech to alternative investments, and we discuss important matters of the day, trends, issues that we foresee happening, and it's really a place for people to come and discuss these issues and solutions.
Yeah, we're setting it up. It's going to be great. It's going to be, maybe we're thinking about maybe once a week or maybe, once every 2 weeks. But also, do you have to be in the tech industry and things like, or an investor to actually be part of this mastermind?
No, we're not going to be, in terms of the vetting, we want people that have done some stuff in the community. And then maybe a few people who are new that are there to learn and ask specific questions. But the reality of it is that the more synergy you have with the people in the room, the better the flow. So we're not going to be too stringent, but we are looking for more experienced founders and thought leaders in their industries.
And that's especially that's actually focused on the mastermind group.
Right.
And then you have this other event that you do like once a month. What is that?
We have 3 events, 3 types of events that we've narrowed it down. We do a lot of dinner socials, which allow people, you're breaking bread and you're having a great time while eating, sharing stories and learning about people. Time passes easier when you're eating.
That's usually like a group of no more than 20, right? So it's very intimate.
50, yes, it's an intimate setting, 15, 20 people. We'll either hire a private chef or select a restaurant that's, appropriate. And then it's invite only, vetted groups.
Or we could do it here in my zone.
Well, this will be a location for private chef services. Once everyone gets in here and sees how amazing this place is like for 3 or 4 different types of events.
Yeah, you already have it all planned out.
It's already mapped out, so coming soon.
So the other one is the social, right? The larger events that you do.
Sure. So like even places like my zone, the socials are great because of the ability to step outside and you're right on the water. You guys have beach access here. I think the only...
on the entire East Coast, we've been told that we're the only office space that's 30 feet away from the water.
It's unheard of. So that type of ambiance is the ambiance that the luxury and high level, we're dealing with high net worth, accredited type investors, and founders.
But usually
who
that's
want-
a couple hundred people that you bring to those events.
Not anymore. We found that 60 to 70 people are really, for that type of event, it's really 75 people, probably the most, would be our focus.
Yeah,
So
one of
it's
the things
more
I love is
controlled.
that you have a database. And basically most of your events, at least from now on, we're working on this, is by invitation only.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be.
So it's not like
Yeah.
you're going to show up and it's your average networking event and you're going to bring like 200 cards and hand them out to everyone. That's not what it's about.
Everyone's pre-screened and vetted. It's invitation only. Each guest will have a profile of other guests. So it has to be nuanced properly or it won't work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about that one event that you're always talking about, the yacht events? Tell us about that.
The third component is we're going to step up. We had paused for a little bit on that, but we're going to step up to 6 or 8 yacht socials before the year is done. And the idea with yacht socials is it could be one yacht or two that we use, rent out,
Yeah, we charter.
and then we take the boats out to the bay, tether them together, and then everyone can get on one. So we have the networking experience with up to 26 people. And then when we head back, they just jump on, we 13 on each, but we follow Coast Guard rules.
Of course.
But the idea behind the yacht socials is it's for people we've met before and we want to further those relationships and we know there's opportunity there. We create that ambiance so that psychologically it not only feels good, but it fosters more.
Yeah, one of the things I
connectivity.
love that when we're having our conversation is that you want to bring an experience into your events.
Yeah.
So it's not just an event. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the next session that we do, but I'm going to throw a couple of things in right now because you're basically a networking king. You've done this for years. You're in the process of finishing your book. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
And
finally.
in that book, one of my favorite things is the 7 steps, which is something that you're going to go ahead, especially in the mastermind group, we're going to teach people, we're going to educate them on how to really network. It's not about passing out your card. That's something that used to be done back in the old days. Now it's about building that connection. Tell me a little bit more about the 7 steps.
Well, that also comes with gray hairs, as you have and I have. And the 7 steps really it's a system of attracting, connecting, and building the relationships with the right people. But it also does help you to eliminate some of the wrong people from your network because it's a process that allows people to gradually get to know you, build those relationships, and then you decide if they're really going to move into an A contact list of yours or just be part of the network. So the system is, without getting too deep, is...
You don't want to give it up because they got to buy the book.
Also, we're going to have training, my zone here, we're going to be doing a lot of events, really helping. What I want to do is I want to help the people who already have had some success to really take it to the next level. There are things that...
Yeah, to elevate their game.
To elevate the game. So it's for new people, but there'll be a section just for people that the type of clients you're accustomed to, where they already kind of got their stuff together, but it's now leveling up.
Another thing you've been doing, which is part of the reason why I rushed you to do this podcast, because you're leaving the country.
Yeah.
Because you decided to open up and branch out into Colombia.
Yeah, we did a deal makers retreat in Medellin, Colombia, a few months back. It was small but very successful. Such the case that now they're asking us to come back again. We'll be back down there in the first week in May. And Colombia is interesting. They don't network the same way we do here, where it's just all this random networking. It really is one person introducing you to another person, introducing you to a group. So they actually spend the time really building relationships right the first time. So I'm actually taking some of the strategies that I learned in there and in some of the Caribbean islands where it's really, they really got to get to know you and then implement that strategy. And so we're doing we don't call it a retreat. This is just deal makers meetings, and it's dinner meetings. So we meet together in the daytime, maybe cigar night, and we break bread in the evening. And get to know
one of
each
the things
other.
I love about you is the relationship building. You always bring it up.
Yeah.
Some of these major influencers today, they talk about it's not so much about building relationship, it's about closing the deal. And you're taking it back
Yeah.
to building relationship because it's important, right? I mean, look at us. 20 years later, we're working together again.
Yeah.
And we're both at different levels, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about when they say that relationship building is not really that important?
It is, not only is it important and paramount in today's society, it's going to save you. And what I mean by saving, since the pandemic, have you noticed the amount of scam artists that have come out of the woodwork? And that's because they realize that people are moving at the speed of light, that they're not stopping and checking, which means they're not vetting, they're not building those relationships, they're not doing those dinners. Everyone's just trying to rush through the relationship. So now it's going to be easy for me to scam you. I really want to get back to slowing things down. I'm, coming to spend time. Let's break bread, even if it's a cup of coffee.
Right.
I do a lot of coffee meetings, and it's not expensive. You don't have to necessarily go and do dinners or lunches. They could be coffee meetings, but you need to have that eye test where you're looking that person in the eye.
Yeah, the human connection.
It's very important.
Yeah, because a lot of people have gone into for example, some people say, well, I go to 50 meetings in a day, from the comfort of my own home, but there's no human connection. And I think that's something that needs to come back.
There's something about hearing the dog bark in the background that changes the meeting. When I hear the dog bark or, honey, the dinner will be ready in 15 minutes, and then you hear that apology, you still go, I really want to give this guy $15,000 a month. It still resonates kind of funny because you haven't been able to spend time with that person. I get it. It is the future. It's where we're going. But you teach people.
Yeah, to me, it should be like a tool.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be the tool, right?
It can't. You teach people how to read human, body language.
Right.
I think that's going to be more important now than ever, being able to read people. So one of the things that we're going to be working together is really going back and implementing some of these strategies so people don't get taken. I want people to be successful, bro. But at the same token, you also need to know how to guard yourself. And I think we've gotten away from that. So that's why.
You think a lot of people are being taken nowadays?
Yeah. I'm hearing the stories left, right, and center. And it's quick. It's a quick, for some people, 10,000, 30,000 is huge. For other people,
it's all the money they have.
It's all the money they have. So honestly, it's not just the money. It's the embarrassment. It's the shock.
Yeah, feeling like you've been violated.
You've been violated.
That's
it
basically
it really is a violation.
Yeah.
And then you don't resonate the same in the next meetings. We have a saying, my friend, one of my old business partners, Omaha, used to say, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
So we want to eliminate that by having people vet better, creating those trustful relationships by spending the time with the people, and then being open. We got to.
Well, it's happening in our industry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a meeting yesterday. We have meetings all the time where people say, well, I just spent $30,000 on how to become a great speaker. Well, how did that work for you? Well, it didn't.
Yeah.
People nowadays have figured out, you know what? I'm going to create a beautiful website. It's going to go ahead and look like I'm doing it and I'm at the top of my game.
Yeah.
And people are going to look at that website. And as long as I promote that website,
right,
they won't know the truth. And they're being scammed, right? So this is happening in every single industry. And what I tell people is do your due diligence. Go ahead and besides going to the website, do a Google search. See how long this person's really been doing what they say they've been doing. And that's why we were talking about creating more social proof.
100%.
Because that's really the credit of the future, right? Nowadays, they even look at your social media to see if they want you in their condo, if they want you in their group. It's like some places is illegal, other places, but everybody's doing it.
Right.
So it's really important that don't just look at a person that figured out how to present themselves on social or show up at an event, a live event, where a $10,000 suit, but it's the only suit they have, but nobody else knows that.
Or a car,
yeah,
that's rented with the luxury brand behind it.
They know how to play the game,
yeah,
and then you believe it. Next thing you know, they come into an event, they take out 10,000 from this person, 20 from that one, 50, and then they disappear.
I think on the Potentialists, one of the topics we're going to talk about this is defense. How do you protect yourself? Because it's amazing how many people, they fall in love with the feeling of looking good.
Yeah.
But being good is a whole nother level. you have to play some defense because everyone's coming after the same pie. So it's just this.
Yeah, and I love that you
Yeah.
talked about that. You're
Yeah.
bringing it up in your book. It's one of the chapters that's really kicking your ass.
Yeah.
Because when you mentioned it to me, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's people, they do it for like IT, right?
Yeah.
They do it to protect yourself with the scams that are coming through the email and through the text and direct messages. You're saying, no, protect yourself from the people you meet,
Absolutely.
because that's even more dangerous.
We had a guy that came through our network and was scamming, literally, I believe, scamming people. My name's, I knew him. He was a client, and you don't realize the damage that they do, the time you take away from progressing in your company because so you have to play defense first. Get to, do a basic background check on these people, and if you see something funny, just don't move forward or get some advice.
And if you have that feeling, that intuition, you may not know what it is you're picking up, but if you have that feeling, pause.
Run it by one other person.
Don't just jump into it. If it doesn't feel right, there's something you picked up.
Right.
And right there, you should just take a step back.
And let me see.
You don't have to rush into things.
The problem is everyone's chasing the bag. So when you don't get the bag and you need that result ASAP, like Rocky, you're tempted to compromise your values for the quick bag. And so those are topics that I can't wait for us to get into.
We're going to talk more about that.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy.
Like the conversation we're having today.
Yeah.
A lot of people are chasing the bag. And I know that we're going through tough times, or at least the media says that, right?
Right.
So people are buying into it.
Yeah.
So instead of like finding people that you can work with to fill that gap, you try to fill the gap yourself for the quick buck.
Correct.
And a lot of people are doing that, and they're hurting themselves because at the end of the day, the person you were working with had larger expectations.
Correct.
But you weren't able to fill it. So working with other people and teaming up, really will take your business to the next level.
Agreed.
Which is like what we do.
The numbers show that 95% of what we do is emotionally driven. So every decision we make is dominant emotion. The problem is there's a logical side that we're not listening to. So I think because 95%, according to statistics, of people buying into products and services is emotional, that's probably too much because you're not allowing for the logical side to say, well, do I really need this? So when you go to the clubs and the restaurants, they're packed. So the evidence that we're in a recessionary period, if it's not now, it doesn't seem like they're worried about it yet. We hear it, but we don't. I think because now, and I think that's what the larger problem is that, the lack of conservatism is going to create an issue for business owners who are looking to scale because they think they have to look like the Joneses to meet up. And I think we have to get back to a more conservative approach.
Do you think that's going to happen though? Especially with social media always boosting that, the guy with the Ferrari, the guy in the mansion.
When you have shows like the Potentialists, they can get the education there. Whether you choose to listen, there's a large percentage that we can't reach. Our concern is to focus on those that want to be helped and are seeing what we're seeing. So it's like...
Yeah, it's like, for example, we wear suits. I love suits.
Yeah.
But there's a time and place. I don't just wear it so that way I can impress you so it opens up your pocket. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
And a lot of people are doing that. They're like, oh my God, everything has to be perfect. Everything, I got to go ahead and buy that watch just to have the watch because it's going to attract certain business. If you have to be concerned about what it is you're wearing to attract business, then your business is not strong.
Also, the people who are doing really well, they're going to test you. Okay, you got a watch. The next meeting, let me see if you reach for the bill. It's a lot of little things that, an inexperienced professional doesn't understand. If I meet someone and they're flashy, they're going to have to live that flashy continually. So the moment that I see a chink in their armor, I know it's not real. So that's why I tell people, don't lie about who you are. Show yourself as a qualified professional. Sometimes you're not going to get the gig or not going to get the job or the opportunity because they want to see the flash. The problem is you have to maintain that. So we want to teach people, Bert, and educate them on you can still be yourself while presenting your brand a certain way. You want to look professional. You're helping me even with how my brand looks. You're helping me in how my presentation should be in terms of content.
What I'm helping you with is to make sure that you get more content out there.
Right.
Because your brand is your brand.
I can say one thing and you look at me and go, Mike, you missed this.
Yeah.
I'm going, what? As smart as we are, we can't see into each other. And so I think our job on this program is to really help those that can't see themselves and then make those pivots and adjustments.
Yeah, and some of the people that we're going to be interviewing are just amazing. I mean, we looked at the list. The lineup is going to be great.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to make sure, I want them to make sure that you are watching, subscribe, follow, do what it is you have to do, and just keep an eye out. Because as soon as this man comes back from Colombia, which is a few weeks from now, we're hitting it hard. And you never know, you might be the one that's getting interviewed. I appreciate you being here. I'm looking forward to doing more of these episodes. I'm looking forward to having you as the co-host when we interview some of the people that we have in the lineup already. And just keep doing what you're doing, brother. You know,
we are potentialists.
Yeah, we're making this happen. Yeah. We're making it happen. So again, this is just a sample of what we're going to be doing. Make sure to follow, subscribe, follow Mike Owen on Instagram.
At Alpha Connector.
At Alpha Connector. And with that, we leave you from The Potentialists. It's now or never. My name is Bert Oliva, Cuban born, American made. I'll see you next week.